It's the meaning and the striving. They're important as well, aren't they? The striving for something is is a key driver in life, isn't it?
It's inherent in us.
Yeah. And we need to be allowed to do that, don't we? It's good to strive. I mean, you know, this is why people say it can be a bit crap if you have lots of money, because that striving kind of gets taken away, and you can't undo that, can you, generally? Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I've just realised that the word striving is a bit like arriving, got the end the same. But, you know, I think we all think that we're striving to arrive somewhere, but actually, if you arrive there, it's probably pretty pants, because you're going to get bored, aren't you?
Well, thank you, Jo. Thank you, Darryl, for being here, allowing me to use this incredible space of yours. Honestly, let's start there.
You're welcome.
Give some context for people, because I've just finished my first weekend. I don't like calling it a retreat per se, because people have their ideas about what a retreat is. Flowers in your food and stuff, and like nicey. It's definitely not that. It's more of a men's weekend, I call it. As people probably know who follow me, but we've just finished. Today's been landing for me, and just getting some. Well, I've been full up because of the weekend, but it's just even for me, integrating some lessons and getting some feedback from people, and just sending some nice messages out as well, to make sure people that have come and experienced the weekend, that they feel like supported in their exit. You know, that's really important. But back to the space, because it's been incredible, honestly. I mean, we don't really know each other that well. We've met once before. I came, looked at the venue, and it was friends of friends that kind of introduced us, right?
Yeah.
I was put in touch with you guys, and then came down, and I think immediately I was just like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we felt like that as well.
We were pretty similar. We were thinking, this is going to work, because it's new for us as well.
Yeah.
So we were feeling our way, and you've got to go on just what it feels like, haven't you? You know. So.
Yeah, I think the conversations we had, and the openness that you guys had to explore, to experiment, and also the boundaries that you spoke to, and the integrity that you both had of like what is a yes and what is a no, but then what's a maybe as well.
Yeah, because it's for the first time for us as well, so it's good to be clear, even though we're both working it out. It's definitely good to be clear. Yeah. And we thought you were great to deal with like that as well.
That's good.
So, but even though we did only meet that one time, and I was like pretty rough when I just got COVID. I was like, I can talk to you for this long, and now I need to be horizontal. But I was
excited to meet you on like a tent, or like have a bit more energy. I was like, can't wait to see Jo again, because I'm sure she's better.
Yeah. Well, she can do better than this. But so even before you came, we were like, knew you had good intentions. You know, towards us, and commitment, and honouring commitments and agreements, but also that your heart was in a good place for the not retreat, the men's weekend.
Yeah.
So that felt really nice
and important. You know. Yeah. It's an important thing that you're doing it as a business in some ways, but that isn't the primary thing that's driving it, and that's important in lots of things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm tuning into that as a vision, setting intentions for like what I want to do with just my life. Do you know, I will share this actually, that I had this moment re-watching some of the testimonials that I got, which will be out on the website, and listening to them back, and I just had this overwhelming feeling that this is what I'm meant to do. And I haven't had that, and I've been feeling like that hasn't been there, noticing it's not been there. Like I've tried so many different things, which I've loved doing. Like you go through life, you try this, try that, you say no to things, you kind of find a bit of a path of what you more want to do or spend time with. And I think for a lot of my life I was actually thinking life is about saying no to things and navigating my life that way. But then I switched that not too long ago, and I was like, no, it's really about tuning into what you do want to do, because there's so much that you probably don't, and what regrets you don't want to live without, you know, because regret's a funny word, but if we can't do everything, everything isn't possible. So it's like, okay, what could I not live?
What could you live with not doing?
Yes, that's the one. That's exactly it. And yeah, listening to some of the videos, had this overwhelming feeling, which was so good to arrive at. It was like, right, this is something that I really want to do and want to pursue, and just be intentional, because I see there's so much merit in doing one thing and picking a direction. I think that's a brave move for people, I think, because there's so much opportunity to do things in the modern day. So, travel here, go there, do this. There's so much we can do. What book do we read next? Like, there's so much going on. But to pick one thing, I think is an honourable thing. So
less is more.
Less is more.
I've been feeling that quite a bit. Just really this summer, actually, it was from last winter when I went to the Isle of Muck on my own, like a small island in the Inner Hebrides, and I just took a small amount of things to occupy myself, some artwork that I'd not tried out before, and I took two things that I might play with, and then I found that one occupied me for a month, and I was excited and just had plenty to do. And then we went on a van trip, didn't we? And it's like, rather than bring all the toys, bring all the instruments and all the different things we could play with, it's like, right, no, I'm going to take my poi, I'm going to take my ukulele.
And that's it.
Yeah. And one book, and the book I took was pretty pants, but it meant I played poi, and it meant I played ukulele. And if I'd had 5 things to play with in 1 week, I might not have really engrossed in any of them. So yeah,
that resonates. I need a smaller van, because it's too easy just to pack stuff in.
It is.
It is. Whatever it's our house or whatever we're travelling in or living, it will fill it.
Live in a caravan, that helps.
But you still end up with cupboards bulging.
You do, but there is a limit then, you know.
There's a limit to it.
Yeah, you might, you think, well, actually, I can't have a potato masher, I'm going to use a fork instead, and, you get by.
Oh, there's always space for a potato masher. Depends how much you like.
You know what I mean? It's like, at a point, you've got to go, well, I can't have any more stuff, and so, you've just got to live with what you've got, and it's just that small space thing, isn't it? And so, we just expand to whatever we've got, don't we?
Yeah, I think your life here takes that to another level, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So how long have you been in this? Is it 30 acres woodland?
30, 33, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, nice number.
Yeah.
33.
33. That we always got.
We're always making that up.
How long? We've had the woods about 15 years, and we've probably been here. We sort of moved here over a period of time, didn't we? But we've been probably 10 years or something like that. Yeah, quite a long time. Living differently and off grid and in a caravan, and we're not young, So it's a bit of a different thing in some ways. It's kind of not to us now, I suppose.
What surprised you about living here that perhaps wasn't on the mind before you came? And where were you before that? I think it's also important for people that are listening to give some context around like what happened in that transition and what made the plunge to live in a wood. Like it's profound for a lot of people who would love the idea, love that reconnection, but they just can never. It's
a dream, isn't it, for
a lot of people,
for quite a lot of people, yeah. And rightly so. I mean, but a dream is a kind of thought, a projection, isn't it? And so, yeah.
Until you do something decisive. And
but we actually did it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We bought the woods, and that was scary. But we actually did walk forward and make the plunge and do it, and then it all unfolds from there. The kind of ups and downs and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
I was already kind of on my way, living life a bit differently. So,
were you called Joe from the woods then?
No, different names along the way. I think Ethnic Joe was the first one.
Oh, yeah.
That was when I went off.
I love the Instagram journey. And
That was from going from being, a Stockport girl to going off travelling. So that's what my pals called me briefly then. And then, so back from travels, I bought a little boat and lived on a boat for a bit. And then after that, built a yurt, made a yurt and lived in that for a bit somewhere else. And then this was the next adventure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the difference, quite a loads of difference actually, from having a spot where you live that's not yours to then buying a bit of land and then realising there's loads of responsibility. Just being a landowner, there's responsibility. People have got ideas of how they think you should do things. So you've kind of got a responsibility to them. And people are particularly emotionally attached to woodland.
I think that's particular for ancient woodland.
Yeah.
I think if you've got a field or something, then people aren't that bothered, you plant it up or whatever,
Yeah.
you have an
Are
orchard.
these people that belong to the council, the local kind of...
Well,
Everyone really.
there's a culture in the UK of that, I think,
Yeah.
more so than in other countries, of
Sure.
people being really woodland and trees and taking that to heart, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it just is the case, I think.
Okay.
But also there's the agencies and organisations that are set up to look after woodland and protect woodland, and so they care about what you do. You get to make your own decisions within the laws, but we didn't really know about the fact that woodland needs actively managing to be cared for well, to encourage biodiversity and with plant and animal life. So we just didn't know that at all. So that was a massive deal, learning that we had responsibilities to the land. And then
the woodland doesn't do it on its own, does it?
No.
Especially now when there's lots of deer around.
Because of the history of management and because of the deer population and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so that was a big deal, us learning that, and then learning how to understand what the land needs, and then learning the skills to actually do the work. It's been a massive learning curve. And then earning the money to buy the equipment to manage the land, because there's tens and tens, there's hundreds of thousands of pounds, isn't there?
Tens of thousands, yeah.
Over the years since we've had it, though, I don't just mean the equipment, just like that's been spent on the land one way or another. Whether it's like getting someone in to do fencing, we've got a guy in at the moment, haven't we, doing reinstating our pond, so stuff like that. We just didn't think
it's a steep learning curve, isn't it? And it's kind of like a roller coastery, like adventure and a learning curve, and it's ace, really, isn't it?
It's exciting.
It is exciting, but it's not all good.
It's different from thinking you're going to be like swinging around in hammocks and looking at butterflies.
Yeah.
But again, I think that is this idea that isn't real.
It's not real.
No,
it doesn't make
whatever you do in life,
purposeful. It doesn't make those. Happiness for me doesn't ever come from just like being at peace with things. There's even that in the Buddhist tradition. We have an idea of like, that's peace, just sitting on a rock and just being like, yes, I'm there. And it's like not particularly. Like it's the work, it's the seasons, it's the ups and downs, the cold, the hot, all the mix of different things that make life worth living. But then it's like the byproduct of all that is happiness in moments that you share with people.
It's the meaning and the striving, they're important as well, aren't they? The striving for something is quite it's a key driver in life, isn't it?
It's inherent in us.
And we need to be allowed to do that, don't we? It's good to strive. I mean, this is why people say it can be a bit crap if you have lots of money, because that striving kind of gets taken away, and you can't undo that, can you, generally? Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I've just realised that the word striving is a bit like arriving. Got the end the same. But, I think we all think that we're striving to arrive somewhere. But actually, if you arrive there, it's probably pretty pants, because you're going to get bored, aren't you?
So are we arriving to strive?
Yeah, maybe.
Or striving to arrive.
Write that down. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is that. again, that perception of the wood taking care of itself that we have, that just nature is, and it's just, the biodiversity, even that word that's become so popular, it's like, when you get to kind of like understand everything that falls underneath that, it's like a myriad of loads of different things. It doesn't just, like, have you seen every opportunity I try and speak about this, the documentary, damn it, what's it called?
Bet you can tell. Bet you remember what it's called.
Is it?
I bet we're talking about the same one. Is it to do with mushrooms?
No. That would be fantastic fungi, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's phenomenal. We talk about that for sure. But it's it will come to me later.
Tell us about it. A bit about it, because we might know.
It took these people 7 years, which in the grand scheme of things is not a long time. But it took them about 7 years to rewild the land, to get the worms in, and this desert in America.
Was this a soil regeneration thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not a big small farm or something like that.
Little big farm. I think I told you about that the first time.
I think a few people have said to us, "You need to watch that," and I
haven't seen that.
We've got to watch that, and then we never. It just disappears. Little big farm.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it?
Yes.
Or massive tiny farm. Something like that.
Yeah, it's incredible because it gives you an insight into, and the guy's a nature photographer, so like the photographer's brilliant, and it gives you an insight into what things come along when you introduce this, and just when you really try and they are trying to create and manipulate nature to be to be in sync, like, so they can live there and thrive off the area, but it just surprises them. The golfers come in and they have to get like different animals to come in to kind of counterbalance that, and they're really toing and froing with this kind of, what is life? It's just, it almost can't be done, It just has to, but there's the striving, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're all like, I don't want to say weasel in a way, where's that come from? But, we're all like the little voles, aren't we, dashing about. We're all just doing, just cracking on.
It's not just us, is it? We're all doing it. The voles are doing it. Everyone's doing it. Yes. Okay, she's not doing it. But, most of us...
Living today.
I know,
Just rolling around in the wetness.
Yeah.
There was a powerful moment this weekend where Jeff I was speaking to one person, and he was like, put your hand up if you haven't got things figured out. And everyone raised their hand.
Yeah, of course.
And it was like, he has this like... See, it's just no one's got it figured out.
Yeah,
we're all doing what we think is the best.
Yeah,
for the most part.
But as time ticks by, and we've got a limited amount of time, and we die, don't we? So there is a sort of immediacy of not just letting that sort of. Being okay with that, I suppose, and making sure that it's not making you unhappy, that not knowing that you haven't got stuff figured out. I think that's the important bit and the hard bit,
Yeah, and the exciting bit as well, because learning. I suppose we don't often think about that with our own personal lives, because we feel like we should be sorted, don't we? Mentally, emotionally, relationship-wise, but when it comes to other stuff that we're learning, we get just dead excited about it, and we don't think we should know everything about everything, do it?
No.
All the subjects that you're interested in, and you love the learning of it, don't you?
Yeah.
So it'd be good if we could more naturally think that about
ourselves,
where we're at, and ourselves, that it is another exciting journey of discovery.
Rather than something we've got to just desperately fix because it's a big problem, which it can feel like that, can't it?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
Your feelings get in the way, don't they?
Yeah, they can do.
Was the storm a big teacher that happened? What was that like? Because I remember you saying that when I first came, and I just had this feeling of like, God, you don't realise that something can just come along overnight, as it were, and then you've got the next month booked out with
sorting things
with
out.
sorting things and getting trees out the way and
it's humbling, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's nature, isn't it? And if you're in a house, I suppose, and it you can hear the wind going outside, but you're not that connected to it. With us, because we're in the woods and we're in a caravan. Caravans aren't great if trees fall on them. There was a lot more kind of It was worrying, you know.
Yeah,
there was trees coming down all over the place. It was windy as hell, and it was a hell of a night. But kind of exciting and kind of amazing too, because we had so many trees down that has never happened before because of the wind direction. It was a different wind direction, so the trees aren't. The root systems aren't adapted for easterly and northerly winds. They're adapted for westerly winds. So when you get it in the wrong direction, all these trees come down that you don't think would come down, you know. So so there was that. It was scary and kind of bristly, you know. Yeah.
Wow,
and lots of sorting out at the end of it. Yeah,
things taking time.
You're always more in touch, aren't you, with the outside, obviously, but even when you're inside, and there's the noise of the rain and the wind, and it's really nice most of the time, but it's unsettling sometimes, isn't it? If there's something you've got to do and the rain's going to make it rubbish, or
even last night in the van, the rain was coming down, and I was like,
you got your stuff outside.
It's howling. The cameras were like underneath there, and I was debating 4 or 5 times. I was to and fro whether to go out and just save them. I was like, I won't get back to sleep. As well. And then I looked outside, and it was just spotting. Yeah. And I was like, you feel like it's so much greater.
You do.
Whether that's the fear inside you. But it is. It's it opens you up.
But it's good, isn't it, that you're more connected to it? That's one of the great things about living in the woods. You are more connected to it.
Yeah.
And so it seeps into you over time. Mm-hmm. And that is a really nice thing, about it.
The fires are more rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's it like when you go away and come back? How does that feel when you kind of maybe stay at someone's house, or have a holiday, or when you stay in
It's always great to come back, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. It's good to go away as well.
It's great to go. You'd think you just wouldn't want to go away, would you? Because it's just idyllic here, innit? But you do want to go away because you need to change your scene, and we need people as well, don't we? So we're here.
After a week, you might start to forget things, and
you need to connect with people too.
For us,
so
it's
important.
weeks, isn't it?
Can be. Yeah, it's one of the big deals, actually, isn't it? Or one of the can be a negative or a downside is the not connecting with people enough. That's why it's been great having the men's weekend this weekend and having noise and shouting and drums and energy and people. It's been great, because it's just different stuff going on.
But if we go away and there's somewhere, even just a town, or we don't really go for city breaks or anything like that, do we? We usually go off in the van somewhere. Just being in a town, even if we're not talking to anyone, it's just when there's that people life about feels it's just nice for us, isn't it? I don't know. Remember that we're part of that too. Yeah. What
reactions do you get when you tell people you live in a wood? What's the response usually? Or do you?
Most people say, that's my dream.
Don't they? That's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And fair enough, fair enough. And, and then you talk about it. Our response is usually like, it's not like that, but it can be. But sorry, what you said.
But it isn't it? It's, do you, I forgot what I was going to say. You're trying to reassure them it's not this dream that you have, or this idyllic.
But that doesn't mean it's any less bad for that. It's just kind of explaining that,
Yeah, so living the dream isn't necessarily the image of what you think it might be. But it's still living the dream, isn't it?
It is. As
somebody told us that fairly recently. It was a group came from the Woodland Trust, didn't they? Because they gave us some financial support with regard to that kind of a block that blew down. And we did kind of have that conversation about living the dream, but then one of them had just a little word after she went, "But you are living the dream." It's like, you're right. Yeah.
I'll end on that.
Yeah. But actually, then that really gorgeous couple that we met at Northern Roots.
Oh yeah, recently a little festival.
They did say. I mean, they wore a lot of sequins, didn't they? And they did say, or she did anyway, I wouldn't want you know, you could tell she had no, like, oh, brilliant, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
She's like, she thought it was interesting, but no, I would not want that. You know, I want coffee shops, I want bars, I want things going on, and I get all that as well. We miss out on all the like culture stuff, don't we? And because we're so rural, there's not loads of stuff going on like drumming workshops, and I mean there is actually, there is what you know when you live in a city, you can do it kind of anything, can't you? And then there's usually really high class of stuff going on, and then gigs. But actually, you know, we've got enough here, haven't we?
There's quite
very seasonal. That it's so like it feels that you're so in touch so greatly with the seasons because summer, lots of things going on. Pop down here for a workshop.
Energy.
Go, everyone's swimming down there. Let's go. Eating outdoors.
Totally.
Like it's very different. But then the 6 months of winter is
it's hibernation time. You know, which is kind of like okay, isn't it? You know. To a degree.
You're still outside a lot.
You are.
You're still,
yeah. You're still outside. Yeah.
You're just a bit more like this, hunched.
Yeah, it can be. You can. Yeah, it can creep up on you. The dark nights and the rain and that sort of stuff. And you find yourself walking around hunched, and that's just because.
It's nice to have your fires though inside.
Yeah.
You miss that in the summer.
I love that transition from one season to the other, and I always sort of feel like I'm about done with that season, whatever it is, summer. I'm kind of done with that and I kind of think, autumn, and it starts to change, and I get excited about the new season and fires, and it's different, and it's going to be dark, and then, so it's nice to have that variation. If it was all the same, I'd really struggle with that. If the season was the same, if we lived on the equator or whatever, I think I'd really struggle with that.
Yeah, we often don't in this country don't think of things like that.
No, it's a big deal. We have great seasons.
I do look forward to that hibernation after we've been out, and the energy's so high, and there's so much going on, and festivals and events, and we have it in abundance in this country. And then the winter comes, it's like, all right, time to retreat inwards and just be a bit more, and maybe create and spend some time doing some projects to re-emerge next year. That's what I try and intend on doing. Being more in sync with that when I can, just bringing my awareness to it more than anything, which is hard if people are in a job and it's the same. It's the same. It's not a seasonal.
Yeah, and you're supposed to put the same amount of energy, or there's not a change to the kind of work you do.
Yeah.
But we have evolved with the seasons. We are animals, aren't we? You know, and that change, the work thing, and cities and all that, from an evolutionary standpoint, it's happened quite quickly that, and we won't have caught up from an evolutionary point of view. So it jars with us of how we've kind of evolved, and I think people forget that.
They do.
You know, that 200 years of industrial revolution isn't very long for us to catch up. You know.
Absolutely. That started my journey, learning about the way we've been and how we've lived, and understanding where we've come from and how people were, and that 1% of human 200,000 years, it's just like in a snapshot. It's just changed so dramatically. And you can imagine work managers just expecting the same in the winter, and it's like, well, can I just make a point that the sunlight really affects my energy, so as there's not much of it, I'm not going to have as much. So it's like that, like how much energy we get from the sun, and then it's not there for as long.
So can we adjust our sales targets, please? Because I'm not getting enough vitamin D, and
we do it socially as well, though, don't we? You know, you don't kind of go, we're going to have loads of energy in the summer, and that's when we're going to be out playing every weekend, and we think we're going to do that all year, don't we? And sometimes you try and do it, and then you're knackered or you're like,
you do. It's hard. It's hard to remember that kind of. We just ask too much of ourselves, I think. We expect ourselves to be like going in like animals are busy in the summer and spring, aren't they? But they don't do that all year round, but we expect ourselves to do that and not have any consequences for it, and our energy levels to just keep going. And and
how long do bears hibernate for?
I've not.
I'd quite like to be a bear. I think that would totally suit me.
Hibernating.
Oh yeah, just a massive snooze.
Your name.
Massive.
Joe the bear.
Yeah.
Joe the bear.
Joe the bear.
Yeah.
Or Bear Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing I noticed is how important it is for you. Just changing gears slightly, how important it is for you. One thing I really noticed was like how careful it seemed to me that you are with the land, of like not disturbing this and making sure you kind of honour the life of that, or whatever it is, whether it's the trees or the shrubs, or it's kind of you value it the same, it seems to be. But that was one thing I was like, wow, they're really taking their, I don't want to say you're taking your time, but it's like you're taking things at a nice pace that I kind of resonated with. That not rushing and clearing spaces, learning about things, and then coming back to. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit, because that's definitely what I picked up.
Yeah, because you'd imagine that we'd come here and we just like crack on with maybe some stuff. Like we had a glamping business at the at Different Woods a while ago, and so we could have like just cracked on and tried to do that here, but we did take our time, didn't we? We didn't do anything for a good year, apart from just get to know the land a bit, and that is still happening now, getting to see how things work. And nature's slow, isn't it? And it's slow to respond to changes that you make, so it can take you a while to realise the impact. So you don't want to come in and do massive things unless you know exactly what you're doing. And copicing is a thing we did start doing, but we knew what we were doing because we got loads of advice. That's quite a big deal, isn't it? It's where coppicing is where you cut a tree so that it'll grow back multi-stem, so you need to cut it and protect it. But when you coppice an area, it's about letting loads of light into that area, so you do a large section. So the smallest you should do is 1/2 hectare. So what is that in acres? A couple of acres, isn't it?
About 1 acre, isn't it?
1.5. Is it 3 acres per hectare?
Something like that.
I think it is, yeah. So
1.5, yeah.
It's a big area, and you're supposed to let in a lot of light, so only leave like at most 20% canopy cover. So that is the tall trees, the leaves of the trees. Only 20% of the sky is covered by canopy. So you're doing a lot of cutting of big trees, as well as the smaller shrub trees, which are the kind of traditional coppice trees. So it's quite scary. It was quite scary for us, because it was new to us. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
But because you know what you're doing, because you've read about it, the organisations have told you about it. You've met people who are doing it. You've been to look at how it works, and you get advice. And as you're going along as well, usually like, no, you need to take a bit more actually. So actually doing it felt like a big impact. But then all these years later, it's probably 8, 9, 10 years later, really seeing the results of it from doing that work, letting in the light, and protecting it. It's like, wow, that was a really brilliant thing to do, because the first patch that we did, it's just vibrant now, isn't it? The growth in it is vibrant, and you've got all these multiple layers of multi-structure in a woodland. It's not just all big tall trees like that, or it's really mixed, isn't it? And so different ages of trees, and that's how it should be. So
we're bothered, aren't we? It's the land isn't ours to do whatever we want with. I think we've always felt that, haven't we? And we still do. At all. It's like we've got to get enough from it for us to be happy, and for us to be able to sustain our life here.
Yeah, and keep wanting to put the energy into it.
Yeah, but you can't just take whatever you want and go, oh well, I'll clear all that and I'll get a load of glamping pods in or whatever, because you just living there. That is the deal, basically. It's like you get to live in this amazing place, but you've got to look after the woods as well, and that feels right.
Yeah, it feels right.
Yeah, it does. It does. It feels like that's how it should be.
Yeah. So where do you think, and there's values as well, I feel that speaks to your values. Where do you think that comes from in terms of like how you've been raised, lived, or tuned into, or seeked, I guess?
For me, I've just got a thing about, I don't see why, not just with woodland, but with lots of things, why we have to rinse the hell out of everything. So, I suppose we've grown up in a capitalist society, and that kind of teaches us that that's okay, and it's morally okay to do that. But actually, you know, I'm not saying capitalism is bad. There's a balance to be struck, you know, and if, say, you've got a business and you're doing well, and the employees are doing well, and, you know, do you have to do something else, which means, you know, you kind of keep growing. I know, you know, we all have to make a living, and business is good.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of just rinsing the hell out of things that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Because when you don't need to, because
it's short-sighted. It's
yeah,
very
and we're
myopic.
going to die at some point. You can't take it all with you. So it's that balance, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
So
It's careless in a way, because when do you stop?
yeah, yeah. It becomes a habit with people. I think it's like that's what I do. I just you know, I empire build. You know, that's my sort of raison d'etre. Yeah, and it's not a thing that, you know, that isn't a thing to do. You know, just that anyway. So yeah. So with the woods, kind of, we're trying to find that balance, aren't we? We're not, you know, we want to get what we want out of it, but we want to look after it as well. So
nurture it.
Yeah. And it is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good.
And I think for me, with my grandma and granddad, I used to stay with them quite a lot, and they, I guess from the era that they lived through in the war times, and they were always really careful about just using things, not wasting things, and making the most of things. So I really like to do that. I really like to do that. And then I think part of the nature thing, I remember doing BTCV stuff, you know, when I was young, and that, I don't know, I must have been drawn to it anyway. But, you know, some people just you know, nature just gets in you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Maybe we could talk about the charcoal then, weigh in for that, about taking some from the land and using that for generating things you need. Yeah.
I mean, charcoal's been made here and round here for hundreds of years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a really traditional thing that we did kind of want to carry on, didn't we? So it kind of was a natural thing to do. It's like, it's one of the first things we did, wasn't it? It was like, we'll get a charcoal kiln and start making charcoal, because that's gone on for hundreds of years here.
Also, it's what a lot of it's kind of the tradition of coppicing. People that get into the you know, that start coppicing, then they usually produce charcoal, don't they?
Yeah, the wood that you get from coppicing, you'll make charcoal with, sort of thing. So yeah, so
briefly, maybe just because people don't know, I didn't know how charcoal is. You didn't know, so maybe give us a summary of like how charcoal gets to our barbecues.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, in a nutshell, in the really short one is, you get some wood and you dry it out, and then you bake it, basically, and then the baking process, as in heating it up. And
setting fire to it.
Yeah. I mean, the way you actually do it, you bake it and eventually it becomes charcoal. But the way we actually do it is we have a kiln, which is kind of like our oven, you know. Yeah. And then you fill it with wood and you set fire to that wood to get it hot. So you've got a big fire going on, and then the key kind of thing is you put the lid on, and you kind of shut it down to a point where there's minimal amounts of oxygen going in. So and then you let it kind of truck away and cook away for quite a long period of time. So that the heat then drives off all the moisture, the steam, and all the volatile organic compounds in the wood goes off, and eventually you're left with just the carbon, basically, which is that black stuff that we call charcoal. And that is the carbon that
it's beautiful.
That if you burn it, goes into the atmosphere and, you know, gives us our global warming sort of thing. So that's the carbon bit of the tree, basically. That's what's left. So so if you're lucky and you do it right, and you shut the kiln down and let it cool down, and you hope that you've got some charcoal at the end of it. Yeah. So you maybe start off the way we do it anyway. You'll say you start off with a kind of a cubic metre of wood. you would end up with maybe a third of a cubic metre of charcoal. So it shrinks down quite a lot to make that charcoal. So, so it is quite I mean, I'm still learning. I've been doing it for like 10 years and I'm still like, I should have done that slightly differently, because you're looking at the colour of the smoke, when to shut it down, and there's a balance between ending up with too much ash or too much wood kind of thing. So you want that perfect balance, and
it's quite exciting.
It is exciting, really? And it's there's a bit of an art to it as well. Yeah. So it's not just like you do it at this temperature, you do it for this long, because it all depends on what the wood is, how dry it is, how big the bits are. So there's this kind of like nice constant, like you'll never get it sussed completely thing going on with it, which I really like.
Well, I was looking at the website earlier, and then I was just like, oh, you gave us a bag of that. And I was like, oh, they gave us the good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Of course we did.
I was like, amazing. Because obviously we used some for the barbecue.
Yeah, and that was really nice that you used the wood, the charcoal we made.
We only needed one bag, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Great.
But I did feel like I made a mistake by putting the lid on, and then it did kind of go out.
Yeah, it's
you need oxygen for it to burn when it's charcoal.
Why did you put the lid on?
Keeping the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
I was like, wow, that's not hot anymore.
Yeah. No, it's gonna put it out, right?
Yeah.
But we started out by producing firewood and charcoal, and but then particularly with the charcoal business, we just wanted to do things a little bit differently. So basically, like you were saying, anything that burns, it releases carbon into the atmosphere, so it contributes to global warming.
Sure.
So whenever we burn wood and when we burn charcoal, it's not brilliant, is it?
It's not, but you have to remember it's neutral. You know, the tree has grown for 40 years or whatever, or 80 years or 100 years. It's sucked out that carbon, and then when you burn it, it just releases it. It's fairly short-term kind of thing going on, unlike fossil fuels, which is millions of years before it's taking it up, and then we're releasing it quickly. That's the main problem with it.
Good point.
But it's still releasing that carbon, and so that, so we sorry, you were saying, but we tried to move to more charcoal that doesn't, but not to do barbecue charcoal as much, and move to charcoal that people don't burn, that's useful, and then that's carbon negative. We're sucking carbon out of the atmosphere with the trees, and then we're keeping that carbon in the charcoal for charcoal that's used for gardens, so it stays in the soil, helping with soil health and regenerating soils, and it holds that carbon in there that the trees have sucked out with, and that feels like a really good thing to do.
Yeah, and the animal gut health
and
stuff. We make charcoal in a different way. Darryl makes it, and then that's fed to animals with the food, and it sits in their gut, and it absorbs toxins, and so that's a charcoal not being burnt, and it'll end up coming out of the dog, won't it? One way or another, and ends up in the ground doing a good job.
Okay.
The ideal cycle is if it got into the farming system with animals, and then farmers fed it to their are you hungry, mate? If farmers fed it to their what do you call them? Cows. I know what cows are called. What do you call them?
Cattle.
Yeah, no, the wider term.
Animal.
Farm.
Herd.
But
livestock.
That's the one.
Hey.
That's the one. I've lost you there, actually, Chris.
Keela. Good girl. You lie down, mate.
Yeah.
Good girl.
It's okay.
Yeah, that would be the ideal cycle. So the farmers feeding it to their animals, and then that helps with the animal's gut. So then they're not having to have loads of antibiotics and stuff that means that it's not brilliant for their health. But then if that meat or other products from those animals being eaten, it's not so bad for you either. So it goes through their gut, keeps them healthier, cuts out the antibiotics, and then reduces methane from the animals, and then it gets pooed out, and it's enhancing the land as well. So that's the total ideal, isn't it? But we don't have that market going on because we've not got we can't produce enough.
For farming.
For farms,
yeah.
that's
so
another. We're
we're
trying to be sustainable, and it's like how much wood. Even though 33 acres seems like loads, we want this to be something that can go on forever. So we're trying to find our way to like, well, what is it we can make that could this kind of potential higher value for us, like money wise, that we can get for it, but also taking less wood so that we can just keep going.
So we can make a living without taking too much wood out of the woodland. Sure. So both of us are happy then. The wood's happy because we're not robbing it, and we're happy because we're paying the bills. That's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Not that we have any bills, but well, we do. We do.
What
just
do you fill your car up with? Water.
No, it's just not. It's not a bill quite the same as it. But
No,
we
not,
council tax bill,
Yeah,
don't we?
yeah.
And the rest of it is just different, isn't it?
I think that's important for people just to even understand, because everyone would think you get no outgoings here.
I know. People think you don't have bills, and it's like, no, you don't get that bit of paper because no one's supplying you with your energy. But we still need to buy gas.
Yeah, we pay LPG gas.
Where do you get your water?
We've got a well.
You do.
So we're really lucky. We've got an amazing, like Victorian kind of 8-metre well, round, stone built, amazing looking thing. And so we get our water from there. And that's our water for washing and drinking and all that sort of jazz. So
So that gets pumped up to a tank, where it's stored, and then it gets gravity fed down. So that does us for a shower, and it gets filtered as well. It gets UV filtered, but that's where you had your bath, where the ice bath took place. That's where the tank is. But the wells are much further down.
Okay. Amazing.
We didn't know we had a well when we bought the land.
Interesting.
We would have struggled.
What day was
we
that?
would have struggled.
Just singing to the gods.
It was on my birthday. It was on my birthday as well that we found
Did you fall down it? And then just
we kind of stumbled across it.
We did stumble across it, and then realised that we should have thought about this before we bought the land. Like, has it got water?
We were lucky.
We were. Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, it is insane.
Well,
well, no, it is. But that's how kind of like
Can't think of everything.
You can't think of everything.
It's pretty basic.
Maybe the dead important things you should think about. But anyway, we were lucky, and we were like, oh, water, we've got a well, so yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
And Jo, you've got things happening in the barn on the website. You've got some furniture.
So, I make pretty things from the wood. So I make rustic furniture and ornamental crafts, and I've got a wee studio at another forest. So some days I commute.
The door is the teal kind of turquoisey door.
It's grey actually. It may just look a bit teal on the pictures, but it's nice. I drive from this woods to a woods where there's a visitor centre and lots of visitors, and Grisdale Forest, and I sell stuff there.
Yeah, amazing. Is it all bespoke, kind of made to order?
No, it's not made to order. I mean, I might do that a little bit, but no, at the moment I make things that I want to make, and then people buy them because they're like, "Hey, that's gorgeous."
Yeah.
Although someone did pop in last week. Yeah, I'm more confident to do that now, and I might do it a bit. I don't know, it's probably quite a bit of pressure doing totally bespoke stuff, but someone popped in the other day and she was like, oh, you're selling them? And I was like, well, not exactly, but, and she's like, well, could you make me one of them, but with some, this sounds really vague, doesn't it? And I was like, yes, I will. So I made her up this vase, basically, a log vase with flowers that I'd carved and other flowers that I'd dried, and I made it all for her. She just saw what I had to play with, and she was like, I really like some of that, really like some of that. So, a bit like that. Or someone might say, I really like that piece there, that stool or that bench, but, it wouldn't, that fabric isn't going to fit in my lounge. I'm like, what about that one then?
Yeah.
So, I do.
Amazing. Yeah. And what is the plan for maybe the future, or things you're calling in? Obviously, I've come and brought some men, and we've
but you're part of it.
Yeah.
This is also starting a slightly different chapter, really, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. You've kind of helped to push us along, really, because we have wanted a bit of people stuff going on, haven't we? We've been looking at workshops and different kind of events, but that are quiet. We don't want to be disruptive for neighbours, people living nearby. We're not looking to have like massive raves here, although quite a lot of our friends would like that.
Our mates might, but yeah.
But we are wanting more stuff going on, people coming in to share the space in different ways, and we're a bit open really to seeing how that might work.
Yeah, that's good.
So
we're just trying to kind of organically see what happens, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it feels like that is happening a bit, doesn't it? Now, which is great. Yeah.
So you coming's kind of made us think and, just pushed us into getting a few things in better shape, really, to accommodate a small group.
Yeah.
We couldn't have a massive group here. The land doesn't lend itself.
Yeah.
But
flat ground is rare.
It is, it's rare.
It's rocky terrain.
In a woodland, it is. It just, it's not a field that's been ploughed.
It's getting the right people in, isn't it? With kind of like that are going to either appreciate the space or be doing good stuff like what you're doing, and and then it kind of feels like it fits in with us then, doesn't it? Rather than it sort of being a bit of a juxtaposition to
exactly, compromising for other people, perhaps.
Yeah.
Which then is the nice guy syndrome.
Exactly,
nice girl syndrome.
Yeah.
We're going to do a bit of glamping, aren't we?
Yeah.
So you've got a certain amount of days that you can do something different on the land rather than it be purely woodland. So we've just got some really nice spaces here that we plan to rent out next summer.
Year,
Next summer, really. So we're kind of on with that.
Yeah. And lastly, how was the ice bath?
Hey.
First time.
Yeah.
It
was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was bloody amazing, honestly.
You both went for it.
I mean,
like
your
normal.
talk made me start getting really worried. Like, right, you've got to breathe. It's going to be cold.
I mean, obvious. These things are fairly obvious.
It was a hot day. I was like, ice bath,
Maybe it was the way I said it.
Yeah. But
seriousness.
no, it was brilliant, wasn't it? It was really good. And it was nice having the group there as well, because
everyone would love to get involved.
The drumming, that gives you a sense of like a ceremony, doesn't it? And excitement. And
it is exciting, yeah.
And just that moral support. You wouldn't stay in there for full 3 minutes, wouldn't you, without an audience?
Yeah, exactly. It makes a huge difference.
We felt brilliant afterwards.
We felt amazing
Absolutely
afterwards.
Brilliant.
Like this calm sort of, it's like a clean, calm
coldness.
Well, not
we were a bit chilly after.
We were a bit chilly afterwards, but I mean, that's how I would describe it.
There's a lot going on. There's chemicals going on in the body, but it's also that sense of achievement.
It's like a drug, isn't it? But a really good, clean one that's good for you type of thing, Almost better than if you run the endorphins with running and things like that. They can be quite buzzy and nice, but not quite as calm as that, I don't think, that calming thing.
I think it's different every time.
But that achievement
really
as well, though, because you've got to do a big thing with your brain to put your body in a bath of ice, haven't you?
Do something you don't want to do,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, amazing. We'll wrap it up. Where would you like to point people, or anything else lastly you want to speak to, or?
Not really, but just I mean, if people are interested,
they'll find you.
Yeah, they'll find us, and exactly.
Well, your website's the Natural Charcoal Company.
Yeah, through my website for the Natural Charcoal Company.
And mine's my name, joclayton.co.uk, or on Instagram, I'm Jo from the Woods.
Yeah. So and people seek us out, I'm sure, if they need to.
Yeah, I think
it's amazing, isn't it? I can just call you out of the blue, don't know each other. Talk to me about your space. And
I know. Well, sometimes you've just got to open up to an idea, and then things come your way, don't they? And that does happen in life, doesn't it?
It happens
we find that happens. So
keep doing what you've got, and keep doing what you've done and get what you've got.
Keep doing what you've done and get what you've got.
Yeah. Is that a saying?
I think so.
It is now.
I said it. If you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same thing.
Yeah.
I got yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you
Brilliant.
so much for
Lovely.
coming on the
Cheers.
pod.
Chris.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Lovely.
Cheers, Chris.